Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to tell you all the animated movies that Walt Disney Animated Studios has done throughout the years. If you are wondering how many Disney movies there are, no fret, I am going to give you that answer, including the titles of all the movies. So let's get right into it, no wasting time. Let's start off with 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This movie is almost 100 years old. We just got a couple more years to get there, a little bit more than 15, maybe. Less than 20, more than 15 years to get there. And yes, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the very first animated film to ever be released from Walt Disney. Next up is Pinocchio, which was released in 1940. Later on that year, we had Fantasia, which was the third animated movie from the Walt Disney Studios. After that, Dumbo was the fourth movie released in 1941. Bambi was released in 1942, along with Saludos Amigos, which was the first Disney animated film that featured a blend of short films that were very relatable to each other. Around this time, World War II was starting, I believe, and the reason these shorts were done was to save up a little bit on money and costs because a lot of people were drafted into the war, unfortunately. The Three Caballeros came out in 1944. In 1946, Make Mine Music. In 1947, Fun and Fancy Free was released. In 1948, Melody Time was released. In 1949, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which ended this era of Disney, specifically where they were just stitching movies or short films together to make a movie. In 1950 began the era of the silver animation or the silver era of Disney animation, starting with Cinderella, which was a huge success in the box office, something that they hadn't had since, I guess, Bambi. Peter Pan or Alice in Wonderland was released in 1951. Peter Pan was released in 1953. In 1955 was Lady and the Tramp. In 1959, there was Sleeping Beauty. In 1961, 101 Dalmatians. In 1963, there was The Sword in the Stone. In 1967, there was The Jungle Book, which is said to be the last movie that Walt Disney himself was involved with behind the scenes because he died in 1966. So this was the final film that Walt Disney would oversee while he was still alive. In 1970, there was The Aristocats. In 1973, Robin Hood. In 1977, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which was very similar to those movies that I mentioned early, where they had a series of shorts and just put them together. This one was very similar, where some new scenes were created for the movie to help stitch the shorts together properly. For most people, it worked out a lot better this way for this film. In 1977 as well, we also got The Rescuers. In 1981, we got The Fox and the Hound. In 1985, some people would argue one of Disney's darkest films, The Black Cauldron. In 1986, we got The Great Mouse Detective. In 1988, we got Oliver and Company. And now in 1989, not only the first movie I ever remember seeing in theaters, my parents took me when I was just a little lad, but it was also the movie that is responsible for kicking off the Renaissance era of Disney animation. In 1990, Disney's first sequel, The Rescuers Down Under. In 1991, we got Beauty and the Beast. In 1992, we got Aladdin. In 1994, The Lion King. In 1995, Pocahontas. In 1996, maybe another movie that most people can consider one of Disney's darkest films, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. In 1997, Hercules. In 1998, Mulan. In 1999, Tarzan. In 2000, we got Fantasia, which was the second sequel that Disney did theatrically under the Walt Disney Animation Studios banner, I should also note, because they also had another company doing animated sequels for them, but this was under the traditional Walt Disney Animation Studios and not under any other banner. Dinosaur also came out in 2000, which was their first computer animated film that they released. Some people will say it was only distributed by them and not from them, but Disney does list this under their collection of animated films. So if Disney considers it one of their official films, then it's one of their official films. The Emperor's New Groove also came out in 2000, so it looks like they had 3 films coming out in the year 2000 that year. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, which I consider underrated, came out in 2001. Lilo and Stitch came out in 2002, along with Treasure Planet, a very underrated animated film. Brother Bear came out in 2003. Home on the Range in 2004, which is probably considered the animated film that practically killed traditional animation over at Disney, although they will try again 2 more times, but even those couldn't get hand-drawn animation to return, unfortunately. The damage was done. In 2005, we got Chicken Little. In 2007, Meet the Robinsons. In 2008, a movie that I actually thought was pretty good, Bolt. In 2009, a hand-drawn animated film known as The Princess and the Frog. Probably an underrated movie since I never hear people talk about this one enough. And this was the one that I was rooting for to bring back hand-drawn animation. Unfortunately, it did not. But the movie that did was 2010's Tangled, which you could argue started the new renaissance of Disney, maybe the second renaissance of Disney animation, if you will, that we are still riding on currently. Winnie the Pooh was the second hand-drawn animation released during this time in 2011. Unfortunately, this was the one that made Disney decide to close the doors because it didn't do so well in theaters. And it was actually a pretty good movie, so oh well. Wreck-It Ralph came out in 2012. Frozen, maybe some people would consider this a little overrated. I think it's a great film. 2013, Frozen. 2014, we got Big Hero 6, which was so far the only collaboration between Marvel and Walt Disney Animation. In 2016, we got Zootopia. Also in 2016, we got Moana. In 2018, we got Ralph Breaks the Internet. In 2019, we got Frozen 2. In 2021, earlier this year, we got Raya and the Last Dragon. And later this year, we will get Encanto, which will be Disney's newest animated film. What will it be about? Who knows? But yes, 60 Disney animated films by the end of this year. And it's almost been 100 years since Disney Animation has started theatrical films. So we are reaching 2037. And once we get to that year, not only Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs will be 100 years old, but Disney Animation will be around for 100 years making films. That blows my mind. And we still haven't gotten a Mickey Mouse movie. What the hell, Disney? Don't give me that direct-to-video crap. I'm surprised your main mascot, he was in a couple of these cheap films, but come on, give us the real film. So 60 films, guys. Did you see all these movies? I'm gonna be honest, maybe not. Maybe I haven't seen Meet the Robinsons. I think that's the only one I haven't seen. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of the older films, and obviously the Renaissance era is my favorite era of Disney, and I'm loving this new era of Disney that we have been getting, starting with Princess of the Frog. So I think Disney is killing it. They're right back up there along side by side with Pixar. It's great that we have both of these studios in the same company. Tell me, guys, are there any other lists that I should present to you and the world? Maybe a lot of people want to know how many Pixar movies there are in total. I mean, the number is always going to add up, but I could do one recently where I could say, this is how many Pixar movies we have. It's not going to be as much as Disney. Disney's been around longer, but hey, 60. Wow. Okay. So with that being said, comment below. Let me know the movies that you have seen. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have seen a lot of these movies throughout our childhoods. And if you're as old as me, maybe you did binge everything. Disney has that collection on their streaming service. Disney Plus has all these films. So go and check them out. And with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, take care.